Om Tava Kathamritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibhididitam Kalma Shapaham Shravanamangalam Srimadatatam Bhuvi Granantiye Bhurida Janaha. Let us resume our discussion on Sri Ramakrishna's spiritual discourses with his intimate devotees at the residence of Sri Girish Chandra Ghosh in North Kolkata on 15th February 1885, when Sri Ramakrishna visited the house on his way to see a drama of Brishaketu in Star Theatre of Kolkata. There the topic of discussion was who is eligible to realize God. Let us recapitulate. Sri Ramakrishna has repeatedly said the goal of life is to see God, is to realize God. Now, normally it is understood that realization of God is not an easy task. It is not meant for all. It is meant for only a very handful number of people, those who are dedicated for spiritual practices only. But here Sri Ramakrishna makes a departure. He says, no, God realization is the goal of everyone, whether he is a sannyasi or a householder. Now, how the householders can realize God, he says as an example to Atul Chandra Ghosh, who was a lawyer in Calcutta High Court. Just try to imagine. He is an ordinary lawyer in Calcutta High Court, and Sri Ramakrishna's prescription, direction for his spiritual practice is you continue to do your legal practice and also fix your mind occasionally to God. That will be enough. Now, there was a person seated there, then he commented that Atul Chandra is not a Brahmin. He doesn't belong to the highest class of the society. Is it possible for a non-Brahmin to realize God? And Sri Ramakrishna said, why not? There have been enough instances in our scriptures, in our mythologies, in our Puranas, that many, those who are not Brahmins, realize God. For example, he says, one is Shavari. Shavari was an uneducated woman born in the caste of the tribal caste of the hunters, Shavari. And She was so exalted that God incarnate Ramachandra had to walk down to her residence, Kutia, to give her the vision. She didn't come. She did not reach God. God reached her. We discussed at length about Shabari. Then next example he says Ruidas. Ravidas, whose life and philosophy have been discussing for the last several weekly classes. We have seen that Ravidas was a cobbler, chamar. His profession was making shoes. Though he realized God, he didn't give up his profession. He continued his profession till the last day of his life. He was also a householder. He didn't give up his hearth and home. He continued his profession and demonstrated that God can be realized and lived with, irrespective of wherever you are. So we have already seen that how exalted was his life, and he was considered as one of the greatest saints of that age, middle age, the age of Kabir and Nanak. He was so exalted that his verses are included in the Guru Granth Sahib. Now we are discussing the philosophy of Ravidas. I have said that philosophy of Ravidas is centered on 10 points. आपके दर्शन 10 बिंदु पर आधारित है रविदास के. उसमें से हम 3 बिंदु का चर्चा कर चुके हैं. आई हैव ऑलरेडी डिस्कस्ड अबाउट द फर्स्ट 3 पॉइंट्स ऑफ हिज फिलॉसफी. नंबर 1, that goal of life, goal of the human life is to realize God, notwithstanding the poor longevity of the modern age. Our life is limited. We don't live for hundreds of years. We have a limited span of life, and also we are subjected to various snares of the world. Notwithstanding, the goal is to see God in this very life by one and all. Doesn't matter whether you are a merchant or a Brahmin or a shoemaker, everyone is eligible and competent to see God. That is his first point. There is no adhikar bad. This peculiar philosophy imposed upon the society that God realization is restricted to some class of people. Adhikar bad. The first point he denies. No. It is open for all, and anyone is eligible. The only eligibility criteria is the intense longing for God realization. That's all. Whoever wants, he or she is welcome. Second philosophy, the second point is Ghat Ghat Vasi Paramatma. That God is resident in every heart. God is not restricted to any temple or church or mosque. In every human beings, in every creatures, God is manifested in a very lively way. So whoever worships God in his living presence makes a better performance in his worship. Not only God is present within temples, he is present outside the temples also. Interestingly, these points are very much in consonance of the philosophy of Sri Ramakrishna. Now, his third observation is the necessity of a living preceptor. जीवित गुरु की आवश्यकता. Though God is present within every one of us, and some of us are eager to realize God, but it is mandatory that we must take the help of a human teacher, competent teacher. Without his help, we cannot reach the divine. Now, there is a peculiar philosophy. See, there is a difference of opinion. Some people say that God is our very own, and in order to reach God, why should he require the help of another person? If I am eager, then I must realize God wherever I am. But the situation, the reality is not so. The reality is that unless there is a lighted lamp, the other lamp cannot be lighted. एक जला हुआ दिया से ही दूसरा दिया जलता है. तो the human preceptor, teacher, जिसको गुरु कहलाता है, now he is a representation of the divine. It's a peculiar idea. In the secular studies, we require professors, we require teachers, we require our tutors. Now, similarly, in the spiritual atmosphere, we require spiritual guide, जिसको गुरु कहलाता है. So there is a difference between a secular teacher and a spiritual teacher. The secular teachers may be many, but the spiritual teacher is one. We have to understand this, that in the spiritual world, only the Almighty can be Guru. Paramatma ही गुरु है. जगत गुरु इसको कहलाता है. श्री रामकृष्ण कहते हैं सच्चिदानंदई गुरु, one Guru. Now the same Guru, Satchidananda Paramatma, the Supreme God, takes different human forms to connect the individuals to the divine. So the individual representations, gurus, are the images of the same object. That's why we praise that Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu. How the human Guru becomes Brahma Vishnu? Because there is a representation, image, reflection of the Almighty. इसीलिए कहा जाता है गुरु और गोविंद की एकता. गुरु और गोविंद फर्क नहीं है. That Govind comes in the form of the Guru to lead us to the divine. Why? Because there is the difference in our spiritual vibration. God is so powerful, so effulgent, that an ordinary human being will not be able to reach him directly. So we need a via media, a step down transformer to withstand the power of God. The God's power becomes available to us through the step down transformer of a Guru. Directly we will not be able to withstand at the outset. Now, anybody and everybody cannot be a spiritual guide. There are certain qualifications. Now, how will I know who has qualification, because the academic in the secular world, the qualification of a guru is obvious from his academic degrees, qualifications, experiences. But in the spiritual world, how to measure the depth of honesty, depth of sincerity, the devotion, spiritual insight and experiences from a person which is not visible outside? How will I know that this person is competent? The wonderful solution has been made that we need not search our teacher. When time arrives, God sends His representative to our door. He knocks at our door and makes us available the spiritual wisdom. There is a wonderful equation has been made in the spiritual world. We need not search our Guru. Guru will search us and grace, send the grace as soon as the time is ripe. Nevertheless, the role of a Guru is mandatory. Without the help of a Guru, we will not be able to reach the goal. So these 3 points we discussed already. Now today's discussion is the 4th point, Satsang ka Mahatva, the necessity of the company of the holy. Sangati ka Prabhav. You have to understand this point very carefully, that this is the beginning of our spiritual life. Satsang, holy company. Master Mahashaya, the recorder of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, asked Sri Ramakrishna how to fix our mind on God. What is the way? Now he gave 4 points, 4 ways, one after another. The first requirement is satsang, holy company. This is the beginning of our spiritual life. One must have a company of the holy to start with. Second, ekanta bas, to live in solitude, at least periodically for a short time. And third is sadasad vichar, discrimination between the real and the unreal. Constantly think what is permanent, what is secular. Whatever is around us, whether it will stay forever or it will disappear. This discrimination is necessary so that we can accept the permanent and avoid the temporary. And behave accordingly. Now we are thinking everything is permanent, which is wrong. This discrimination, vivek, vichar is necessary. For that we need an environment, a solitary place, and the importance of the solitude will be heard, will be felt only when we have kept the company of the holy. And the 4th point is, last point is, singing the name of the Lord. Tan Nam Guna Kirtan. Now Sri Ramakrishna also said the first point, company of the holy. Here also Haridas is saying the company of the holy is extremely important. And it is said in our scriptures, Kshanamapi Sangati Sajjana Reka Bhavati Bhavarnava Tarane Nauka. This world is like a vast ocean. To cross the ocean is almost impossible. But if you have a very powerful, strong boat and you be on the boat, then boat will safely carry you across the sea. In this world of samsara, this sea of samsara, ocean of this world, the The company of the holy, satsang is the boat. If you keep on the boat, put ourselves on the boat, then we'll steer clear of us safely across the samsara. Now, the question is asked that the householders are busy all the time. How long to spend time in satsang, company of the holy? कितना समय तक करना पड़ेगा? Because they do not have full time. The sannyasis are staying in mutt mandir. They have plenty of time. But householders, they don't have much time to keep the company of the holy. What is the time duration? Here Shankaracharya says, Kshanamapi. Even for a moment, if one keeps company of the holy, it will work. Now, how it doesn't satisfy our reasoning? How a moment's company of the holy will make the job done? How is it possible? The answer is given if you have a large dump of fuel. Now, how long you need to keep it, to burn it by the contact of a matchstick? A matchstick is in touch with that fuel for a moment. That's all. You don't have to strike very many matchsticks. One strike of match is enough to burn a huge amount of fuel. So we are all prepared fuel within us. All is necessary to make it alight, live, burn it. And that striking of the matchstick is the holy company. Company of the holy, even for a moment, makes us aware of our divine heritage and takes us to the ultimate goal. Such is the importance of the company of the holy. Duration is not important, but the intensity is important. Now, that's why he said that we should be very careful about our company. कहा जाता है सत्संगे सर्गवास असत्संग में सर्वनाश. As company of the holy is extremely beneficial for us, similarly the company of the unholy people is very dangerous. This has to be understood with a proper penetration. That our mind is like a crystal. It doesn't have a color. You know the crystal, sphatic, if you keep near a red flower, it becomes red. It doesn't have a color of its own. If a crystal, if you keep sphatic near a red flower, rakta pushpa, it becomes red. It looks red. If you keep it near a green flower, it turns into green. It doesn't have a color. Similarly, our mind becomes holy as soon as it is in company of a holy man. The same mind becomes unholy in the company of an unholy person. So that's why so much of importance is given on our company. कहा जाता है man is known by his company. But if it is in bad company, then whether he likes or not, he will be turned bad. The company makes it change its color. And if it is in a company, in the vicinity of a holy person, then holiness penetrates into it by sheer the power of radiation. Just company. Similarly, keeping a distance. The power is kept at a distance from the crystal, but that color has penetrated and make the crystal look red or yellow depending on the color of the flower. So that's why the Ravidas says that company of the holy is extremely important, and similarly the company of the unholy should be very carefully avoided. The simple statement of Ravidas is this: जो जन दुष्ट कुमार्गी बैठहि नहीं तिह पास, जो जन संत सुमार्गी तिन पाए लागो रविदास। Whoever is, जो लोग दुष्ट है, बुरे मार्ग पर चलने वाले हैं, उनके पास बैठना भी नहीं चाहिए। पर जो सन्मार्ग पर चलते हैं, वो संत जन के चरणों की सेवा की लगे रहना चाहिए। ये रविदास जी का आदेश है। कीप द कंपनी ऑफ द गुड पीपल एंड अवॉइड द vicinity of the bad people, because that makes a difference in our personality. Now, he says that if the difference between wine and water, even if wine is made out of Ganges water, it is rejectable. But the same wine, if it goes to the Ganges, it becomes pure. Such is the power of the purity of the holiness, that it turns everything into divine. This is the tremendous power of the holy people. Now, though we are all children of the divine, all are not interested to see God. God has created us, created this world, and we are searching our happiness. We are all children of immortal bliss. We all are after happiness, joy, pleasure. When we seek this pleasure in this world, then we are frustrated. We do not get any happiness in this world. The world has an illusory appearance. It gives us a promise of pleasure, but it gives us pain in return. And that sort of frustration we get necessarily. So fortunate are those who turn their face towards God in search of true happiness, and they get blessings. And it's very interesting that God chooses those whom He wants to bring towards Him, and that process starts with the desire to become company of the holy. As soon as a person develops a desire for holy company, then it must be concluded that God's grace has already descended on him, or else he wouldn't have this desire. As Tulsidas ji says, that without the grace of the divine, we do not get the opportunity of the holy company. that we want to realize God, Rama Kripa Binu Sulabhana Soyi, that without satsang, our viveka discrimination is not actuated. We say the 4 steps. First is the company of the holy, then sadasad vichar. So Goswamiji says, Binu satasang vivek na hoi. That vivek, that vichar, discrimination between the real and the unreal, this we become confused in this world. So we take what is not to be taken, we reject what is to be accepted. Because our comprehension is not clear. That which is false appears to us as real, we accept it and we get frustration. So this vivek is generated by the company of the holy only. Binu satsang vivek na hoi. Satsang Rama Kripa Binu Sulabhana Soi. Without the grace of Ram, that company of the holy is not available to us. So whenever we have developed an hankering for the company of the holy, or we are getting the holy company, we must conclude that God's grace has already descended on us, or else it would not have been possible. When God has descended this kripa, first step is He provides this holy company. And once He gives the holy company, then we develop this power of discrimination, vivek. And third, when the vivek is strong, then we enter into vairagya, we accept the good and reject the evil. And next we get immersed in the singing and praising the glory of God, and we receive God's grace in reality. So that's why the company of the holy has been highlighted to such a great extent. We should not take it lightly. Company of the holy can make a sea change just by its existence, like the proximity, the nearness of a red flower makes a crystal looks red. You don't have to touch it. You keep a red flower near a crystal, crystal will look red. As soon as we approach and physically sit near a holy person, he becomes holy by dint of his radiance of spirituality. If you sit near an air conditioner, you will get cool air. You get coolness. You sit near the fire, you will feel the warmth. The nearness. Similarly, if you are physically in proximity of a holy person, you become automatically holy without your effort. And that holiness will be reflected by the awareness of your power of discrimination. It makes the power of discrimination awake, switch on. We are able to decipher what is real, what is unreal, what is permanent, what is transient. Then we accept the real, reject the evil. That is called vairagya, and that is the realization of God. So now, Ruida, that's why he is praying to the divine that your grace may kindly be descended on us by the company of the holy. By the company of the holy, satsang se, then satsangate nishwangatam, nissangate nirgunatatam, nirgunatate jivan mukti, nirgunatate nirmohate jivan mukti. Gradually stage-wise progress, beginning with the company of the holy satsang. That's what Rubidas presses as the fourth point of his philosophy. The next point is Nama Bhakti, repetition of the God's name, that we shall take up in our next Sunday class. The Nama Bhakti, the fifth qualification, fifth dimension of his philosophy of Ravidas. Niranjanam nityam ananta rupam bhaktanukampa dhrita vigraham vai Ishavataram parameshamidyam tam Ramakrishnam shirasa namama. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. We close now with the chanting of the Lord. Please join with me. Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om. Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om. Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om. Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om. Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om. Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om. Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om.